Hey guys, welcome into the show. My name is Tyler Kluver. I'm a former Division 1 athlete. I now run a fitness coaching business as well as a sports media brand that creates podcasts, sells merchandise, and creates other exclusive content. This show is a place for me to document my thoughts on fitness, health, nutrition, maybe some business or mindset stuff, as well as update anyone listening on my own competitive fitness endeavors and life events. I want everybody that comes and listens to this show to take something away that can make their life better, whether it's a diet or fitness tip or a way of thinking about things that motivates you to be better in your own life. Hopefully we can get that done, but regardless, I'm glad you're here. Let's have a day. Let's go. And to put it as Cade put it in the comments, shout out to Cade, who is really based on everything I do, my number one fan. I don't know if it's so much me that he's a fan of, but this Snap podcast, he's into lifting and stuff, and the Washed Up Walk-Ons football stuff that I do. He is number one. We are so back, is what he posted on the last YouTube video. One of the few that watches the YouTube video, so shout out to you. If you are watching the YouTube, we've got an overlay. I actually have an official overlay that I could have done months ago, years ago at this point, because I knew how to do it. Just haven't. And it is, it's to be honest, the shittiest overlay you've ever seen. Just the most like paint, like old school paint thrown together. Um, like just the word, there's just no design to it at all. I threw it together in 2 minutes because I just wanted something other than the podcast logo, which is now covering up the subscribe sign. So if I don't get subscribers, it's my fault. Anyway, we're back. Snap podcast. I sat here. It is Wednesday morning, 7:36 a.m., August 28th. And I was sitting here with a lot of stuff to do today. I will record 4 podcasts today. I will edit and produce and publish 3 of those 4 podcasts today. If there was ever a day where podcaster was my job, it is today. We are starting early at 7:30, drop the kid off at daycare. A couple thoughts before we get into the main topic of today's show, which is going to be the competition recap from this past weekend. I won't go into agonizing details that nobody cares about, but I do think it'll be interesting or fun, entertaining for some to hear about that. Considering that in the intro, I talk about my how I'll discuss my own fitness journey and endeavors, competitive endeavors, and well, those don't come around too often. So we'll talk about the one that did, and maybe how I'll look at this moving forward. But a couple things: fitness and exercise and nutrition and health and all these things, training. It is incredible how resilient your body is. It's incredible how resilient we are as humans, how adaptable we are as humans. I was just listening to a podcast by Peter Attia, who is a doctor. He had a man named Sebastian, I believe pronounced Younger, but it's Junger. Sebastian Younger on. He's, I think, an author, is what I deduced from listening to half the podcast so far. And they were discussing how resilient, like the resiliency of the human body, how great we are at adapting to our environment, things that happen to us, both physically and emotionally, mentally. And it kind of full circle spun me around to a daycare drop off today, because my daughter right now, who is in year 2 of daycare, she went to this same daycare all of last year, and mostly without issue. Mostly because she was too young to really understand what was going on, or even really convey that emotionally or physically to the outside world, even though she was feeling it on the inside. She is now at the age nearing 2 years old in December, where she has emotions, she has thoughts, she has opinions, she can verbalize those. oftentimes, correctly. And uh, she is verbalizing and her body language almost every morning since we've gone back to daycare, which was last week, that she does not want to do that. And of course, she cries at drop off. They close the door, they walk inside. I go back to the car. I come home and start doing this kind of stuff, and she's fine, right? She in 10 minutes now is away from that separation event of the morning from her and her dad. The crying stops. She realizes that a couple friends are at daycare as well already. She sees the toys that she likes to play with there. She does what, she finds all the comforts that she has there, and she goes into her day and forgets about me until uh yeah, I mean, she probably does completely forget about me or the outside world or mom or anything until we get there at 3:20 to pick her up in the afternoon. And that's good. And it's just so interesting to think about the adaptive properties of humans, of like, oh, we can mentally detach, some of these things that are useful later on in life, and maybe a problem later on in life in certain instances, are so evident early on. Like, you can already see it. Um, I also think about it from my point of view. That's a hard thing for me emotionally, especially as a completely developed human with a brain who has to process. We talked a little bit about last week, our other people raising my kids and the difficulty of that. Uh, it's I think about it as like, oh man, it's so hard for her to go through this. It hurts me. But in reality, when you're trying to build a child for life, or you're trying to prepare your kid for life, at least in my opinion, it's probably good to introduce them to situations that are going to be difficult, right? Where they're going to be challenged, where they don't have their parents to fall back on, where they don't have the comforts, every single comfort that makes them feel, uh, where they don't have to deal with obstacle or challenge. It's good to put them in those situations, and of course, in a safe way, not in a way where there's actual danger, or I don't want to leave them in the cage with a lion right now. Um, but like, in this sort of environment where she has to disconnect from me every day and learn to be social with friends, learn to share, learn to be away from her parents, all those kinds of things. The adaptability of humans is just sort of a fascinating topic to me. And of course, you'll find that out yourself if you get into an exercise or health journey. You'll see a lot of physical adaptations, but one thing I tell my clients a lot of times is the physical's great. Um, it's not nearly as permanent or important as the mental, psychological adaptability that you will go through. Um, I think I can say with 100% confidence, at least at this point in my life, that the trials and tribulations of the off-season program at Iowa football that I went through, mainly sprint conditioning, and to be honest, a lot of the GPP, general physical preparedness kind of stuff that I went through early on. I would say my first 3 years out of 5 were some of the most formative experiences on my psyche, and my mental strength ability, in my 20, and all the way up to now, which is, about 30 years of life. Um, Learning to get through those difficult things and adapt probably has served me more and built me discipline and strength wise as a human than anything else in my life. So there's 9 minutes of pondering and just philosophy talk. I don't know. Uh, Another quick note. that nobody really cares about. But if you listen to both podcasts and you are a fan of the Washed Up Walk-Ons, Kevin Ward competed a uh, in a triathlon this past weekend. He did the Olympic distance Chicago Tri, which looked awesome. The route looked cool. And obviously he is one of my good buddies. He was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. Podcast co-host. We're close. He's a bro. He's one of the boys in my life. I'm always looking and trying to be inspired / pushed by my friend group, my inner circle. And Kevin certainly has done that after this weekend. 2,500 people competed in the Olympic distance triathlon this weekend. There was probably who knows how many competed in the I don't know. I think there was a sprint and a super sprint. So I imagine it was probably closer to like 5,000 people more. There was 2,500 that competed in his distance. His distance, I believe, could be very wrong, but I looked it up and it's around here. I think it's 1,500-meter swim, a 25 mile bike, 25 or 26 miles on the bike, and a 6-point-something-mile run. So nothing crazy, right? For those that are into fitness, like you break any one of those down to itself, and the 1,500 meters in the water is certainly the most daunting, unless you're just a distance swimmer from your high school days or something. But like a 6-mile run is not crazy for anybody into fitness. And a 25-mile bike is not crazy for anybody into fitness. So, obviously putting those together and then trying to go hard and get a fast time makes that a whole different story. But, so it's just setting the table for exactly what he did. And Kevin, obviously being the guy that Kevin is, he's a high achiever. Physically, he's more gifted than your average human. He goes out and out of almost 2,500 people, the guy gets 54th in his first triathlon ever. 54th out of 2,500. The thing that's really cool about triathlons, usually with the chip timing, is you can go into the race results on whatever the race page is, and you can see all of the times, transitions. And this one even gave you like time to bike. So like, the swim plus a first transition, the individual splits of your swim, your bike, your run, all these different things. This fucking guy put out the 4th fastest time on the bike out of 2,500 people. Kevin got on the bike and hammered. He rode like 26 miles in like 59:29 or something. Like the guy was fucking moving. And good for him. But it fires me up because I've talked about Ironmans or triathlons, whatever it may be. And it just motivates me. Because now I'm sitting over here like, damn, I'm the one who's been talking about doing one of these things. And Kevin went out, trained for it, did it, and crushed. First place in the entire Chicago Triathlon of all the newcomers, the first timers. There was like 350 first timers. Kevin goes out and gets first place. Total asshole. So there's another thing. Get friends that'll inspire you and push you and motivate you. Kevin doing that with his triathlon time this weekend. Anyway, I filled 13 minutes of podcast time, and I didn't know what I was going to talk about today. Those two things were it. Let alone here we are, and we haven't gotten to the important one, which was I remembered I did a competition this past weekend. We talked about it last week. How I was, I randomly last minute, basically 2 weeks beforehand, signed up for a CrossFit competition local here in Waukee. Nothing crazy. Definitely not like Kevin, like competing in Chicago with 2,500 people. There was only 6 teams in our division. So basically 12 guys in the RX competition. It was quite literally at the closest, well, there might be one gym closer, but as far as CrossFit goes, branded gyms, it is the closest CrossFit gym to my house. It is It's a mile away from my house. It took 4 minutes to drive there. Um, Nonetheless, of the 6 teams, there was 3 other teams with legitimate competitors on the team. Uh, there were and granted, a couple of these guys are older now and kind of in the age group division, but they're still pretty good for a local competition, as far as, like, being able to push and put up good times. Um, there were of the 3 teams of 2 that were our competition, uh, there were 3 of those 6 guys, I think, were regional level competitors they are now or were at one point, which I've never been to. I've never been to, the semis or the regionals. Obviously, we've talked about that. That is the goal. And so I didn't know. I saw the people who signed up and I was like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know where these guys are at in their training, how much they've been doing lately. Did they take the summer off? Are they going hard right now? Are these good workouts for them? I don't know. And in a CrossFit competition, it's a little bit like a swimming race, some of those individual sports, but you're going against other people. You can really only do your best and hope that it's enough, right? Like if you're swimming the 100 free, yeah, you're swimming against 7 other people in the Olympics, but nobody else is impeding you on how fast or slow you're going to swim. It's basically you go out and you run your race and it's adjacent to a bunch of other people doing the same thing. That is the same thing in CrossFit. There is no lining up across from each other like football or basketball. You don't affect the other person's performance. And so that's one of the cool things about CrossFit is you go as hard as you can. Hope that's enough. It turned out to be enough this weekend. Isaac and I, who is a coach at the gym that I go to, we took home first place. So congrats to us. It was cool. I'm not going to downplay getting first place in a competition, but I'm also not going to like try and upstage the how good the competition was here. Nothing. This is an off-season competition where it was for charity. There wasn't a lot of teams. This is by no means something that I should like rest on my laurels here. But we won, and I think the more impressive, good takeaway from this competition was there were 4 events, and we took first in every event, which is impressive regardless of your competition, unless you are just far and away outmatching everybody. There were some other people in this competition. There was at least 2 teams that had people who easily could have taken first place, uh, but Isaac and I, whether it just be that we're a little, that much further ahead with our fitness or, we were trying harder. I don't know. We went 4 for 4 with first places. And I'll briefly run that down. Um, First event kicked off right around 8:45 in the morning. And the first event was what I would call the cardio event, although it's more of a power output thing. Um, it looks like cardio on paper. Partner A starts on the rower. That was me. You row a 1K. Partner B starts on their course that they mapped out for an 800, and you run an 800 meter. For those unaware, 800 meters of running, 1K of rowing takes a similar amount of time. For a fit athlete, you're probably going to row a fast. Well, I don't know. It depends, I guess, if you're more of a runner or a rower. But for me, somebody who's a little bit bigger, not naturally a runner, I'm definitely going to row a 1K faster than I'll run an 800 meter in a workout. So I started on rower. Isaac started on running. When the runner gets back and the rower is finished, you switch. The other partner runs the 800. So I took off on the 800. Isaac hops on the rower, starts his 1K. When I get back and Isaac's done on the rower, we've now both ran a half mile and rowed a 1K. You start in on 40. I don't even know if they were power snatches or if they had to be, I think they were power snatches. So 40 power snatches at 135 pounds. That's a lightweight for Isaac and I. Isaac's maybe even like a slightly beefier, not slightly, he is a beefier version of me. Decent lungs, but really is a power guy. He's stronger than me. He definitely squats more, cleans more, snatches more. So I move a barbell really well, probably second or third best out of everybody in that competition. Isaac is first by far and away. Um, he rode a little bit harder than I thought he was going to, and then I kind of managed the run very, very. I was very pulled back on the run. There was a few guys ahead of me, but not by much. It ended up being probably 3 to 5 reps that they had on us when we started in on the snatches, and Isaac and I absolutely burned the house down on the snatches. He opened up with a set of 10 touch and go. I hopped in, did a set of 10 touch and go. He hopped back in, did 8 touch and go. I hopped back in, did 8 touch and go. So 10, 10, 8, 8. That puts us at 36. He finished it out with 4. And it's funny. There was some clips of this event by the organizers where that they were putting on Instagram and stuff. And everybody else is doing, singles, snatch it up, drop it, snatch it up, drop it. And we're just in the corner, just hammering away, just not dropping the barbell. It was exactly what we thought it was going to be. The 1K row in this specific competition, the 1K row and the 800-meter run was not enough cardio to develop a distance where somebody that was less good at snatching or even the same at snatching um, could really pull away and win the workout. So you really had to win this thing on the snatches, and that's what Isaac and I did. I think we beat the second best team was 16 seconds behind us. So we love that. And it was really great to start the weekend with a win, start the day with a win. Obviously in a pursuit to be on the podium and win the entire thing, winning the first workout helps, especially when there's only 4 workouts. And as 2 strength guys, the strength workout was yet to come. So 1 for 1, we love that. Second workout was these workouts were about 75 minutes apart. So, for anybody that's competed in a fitness competition, which maybe isn't very many of you, it's really tough on a 75, like you want at least 2 hours in between workouts. This was not that. So we had about 75 minutes between event 1. Events 2 and 3 were back to back, which is great because they're warmed up and good. And then between event 2 and 3 and event 4 was another 75 minutes. Events 2 and 3 roll around, and we're feeling good off that first win. Event 2 was what we would call like the burner. And I would call this one the one that I'm most surprised that we won. Event 2 was 40 reps, 30 reps, 20 reps for time of 2 movements: burpee box get overs and toes to bar. 2 movements that are 100% for the smaller guy, smaller athletes. I would say of the 12 guys competing in our division, Isaac and I were the 3rd and 4th biggest dudes there, probably, as far as weight and stature. So burpee box get overs and toes to bar, not going to favor the 2 guys that are 200 and 220 pounds. Now I am naturally, for my size, better at burpees than most people, and Isaac isn't too bad. 90 reps of each, 40, 30, 20 is 90 reps. And this was split it how you want. So you just go and only one partner can work at a time, but that's really the only rule. You start and you got 40 burpee box jump overs or get overs to complete. Split them up how you want. When you complete that 40, then you got to complete 40 toes to bar, 30 and 30, 20 and 20. Knowing that I was the better athlete at these and I'm the smaller of the 2, right? Isaac was, one of the bigger guys there. I took the brunt of this one. We decided like, hey, I'm going to take the discrepancy in unbalanced work here. And that ended up actually being 52 of the burpee box get overs and 49 of the toes to bar, which means Isaac did 38 and 41. And that's the beauty of a workout like that is you can decide, okay, if one of you is better at these, you can take more. That's what I did. I paid for it. It hurt like a motherfucker, but we paced it really well in the round of 40. We were behind one or two teams, maybe even three teams in that first round of 40. But because we paced well, when we got to the 30s, we started to catch up, and we did not really drop off in speed as other teams got tired. Um, and in the end, we ended up winning this thing by 4 seconds. Our time was 6:29, and the second place team came in around 6:33. So our pacing was quite literally perfect. This is the first time I've ever competed with Isaac, so the chemistry and the ability to work together there don't really have it established, but we did really well. And we pulled out the small guy workout, which is what I would call this. It was short, it was fast, and it was two movements that were better for someone who was like 170 pounds and 5'6". But we won it somehow. You got until the 13-minute mark on the clock. So faster you finish, the more rest you got. You got until the 13-minute mark to then start workout number 2, which was 5 minutes to establish your heaviest lift of a complex. Now we're talking. This is me and Isaac's jam. We knew we were probably going to win this one, and we probably didn't even have to do our best, although Isaac absolutely balled out. I took the brunt on that first one and was hurting. He took although he didn't need to retrospectively, he took he carried us in the second workout. So again, that second workout was 3 deadlifts, 2 hang cleans, 1 overhead, 1 shouldered overhead or 1 jerk, right? It's a complex, so you can't drop the bar. Once you pick up that first deadlift, you got to do 3, 2 hang cleans, 1 jerk, all on the same go. I had a feeling just by slightly kind of knowing who we were up against and just the general numbers of CrossFit, I had a feeling that if we could both hit 275, which I had hit in practice, Isaac had hit 315 in practice. That if we both hit 275, we were good. We were going to win with that, which would be a total of 550. I hit 255 to get a number on the board. Isaac hit, I think Isaac also hit 255, or maybe he hit 275 first. And so we were good. I was very confident, although I was hurting from that first part. I was very confident in 275. I hang power clean both, which is great in a competition when you're tired. Double hang power clean at 275, like we'll take that. And then the jerk was so solid. My overhead split jerk and push jerk, I've been working on a ton. Hit 275. Isaac ends up throwing on 310. We just put all the weight that we had on the bar, and he's like, "Yeah, screw it, I'll hit it." And he freaking pulled it out. And so his 310 with my 275 ended up being a total of 585, I think. And we actually were spot on. We could have just both hit 275 and won the event. 550 would have been that, and 540 ended up being second place. So we didn't even need his 310. I loaded 295 on the bar, did the 3 deadlifts and the first hang clean. And knowing that we had 1 workout left where my legs were going to be necessary, I took the route of just dropping the bar and saying screw it, because the first squat took a lot out of me and I wanted to save what I had. Although I think if we really, really needed it, I could have hit the 295, which I'm super stoked with. Like basically call it 300 on that complex. I put in a lot of work to be at that spot, and that makes me really, really excited for where my strength numbers could be leading into this upcoming CrossFit season. So we end up crushing that event. We're at this point 3 for 3 after 2 event windows. And we had essentially, based on how other teams had finished through those 3 events, we had essentially clinched first place at this point. Which is an interesting spot to be, because now you have the opportunity to go out and just coast. You could totally phone it in and just complete the last workout, get whatever you get, and just win. You could kind of coast, but not go 100%, and fight for a higher placing, but not really push to find your potential. Or you could take it as a last one for pride kind of thing and say, we're going to fucking sweep this thing. Like, we're not going to baby it in now and just get beat on this last workout. And we chose that last one. I was hurting. I should have eaten more between. But we got to that last workout window, workout number 4, event 4, whatever you want to call it. And that was a 12-minute AMRAP. This is the one I would call much more aerobic, but it was also a little bit more skill-based. 12-minute AMRAP. And it was just alternating movements of 5 movements. So you eventually got through all 5. Your partner was kind of on the opposite side of all 5. And you just went back and forth. It was pull-ups, dumbbell bench press, double unders, calories on the bike, and dumbbell thrusters. So 12 pull-ups, 12 bench press, 50 dubs, 12 cal bike, 12 thrusters. Workout went like this. I hopped up on go, did 12 pull-ups. Isaac immediately did 12 bench press. I made my way while he was working to the double unders. I did 50 dubs. Right when I finished 50 dubs, he did 12 cal bike. As he finished 12 cal bike, I did the thrusters. Then we're back to the top, and he starts it because of the odd movement format. And you just go as many rounds as you possibly can until it's over. In practice, I tried to simulate about how long it takes to do a set of each. I would do my set and then rest and basically simulate Isaac working. And I got almost to 6 full rounds through the movements. So basically 2 minutes apiece to complete the 5 movements. And I thought, wow, that's going to be a great score if we can push for that. We actually completed 6 rounds, and I did the set of 12 pull-ups in the 7th round to get us a final score of 600 reps even. And the next best score in this workout was 584. So we were 16 reps ahead of second place. And to be quite honest, we did enter that coast mode because we could see where everybody was at. We were easily ahead of the competition towards the 9-10 minute mark of this workout. So my last bike, I think, took me a minute. I was just like barely pedaling. I was hurting more than Isaac on this workout, no doubt. And we just totally phoned it in at the last 2 minutes because we knew we had the lead and we were going to win. So couple that with the fact that my bike malfunctioned on like round 2 or 3, and then we lost like 10 or 15 seconds. We pretty handily took the last workout as well. Maybe not the greatest all around programmed competition, but it's a local comp where you have one morning basically to get things in. You can only do so much. Really happy to have, been an equal. I would say over the course of this, our first place, I was very, very much so a 50% contributor to the first place. It fired me up competitively. It made me think I should do more local competitions because I really, really enjoyed it. And that makes sense, right? Like, I do all this freaking work. Why would I not enter more opportunities where I can show off that hard work and see if it pays off? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it makes me think, and I've already kind of started this year with, I did a qualifier right after I came back from vacation and taking time off from the half marathon earlier this year. I did not do well in that, but it was fun to compete and have it be game speed and things were on the line. Same thing here. So I think there's going to be more local competitions in my future. And I think that maybe even competing on a national level, as far as like going to some of the bigger competitions like in Miami, or there's one in where is it? There's one in South Carolina. There's a couple around the Midwest. Like, I think I might be looking to compete a little bit more because I think I only have about 2 to 3 years left of this before I pull back and take a few years off or maybe go into that triathlon mode. Um, and then maybe, down the road, we pick up maybe some masters competitions in CrossFit and maybe try and make the masters semis or whatever. But I've only got a couple years left on this, like really, I'm old. I'm going to be 30 in less than a month. I've got I've got 4 fucking years until I'm considered a masters athlete. And masters athletes, as hard as they train, they aren't really competitive with the big dogs. So I've got a few good years left on this, and I want to make the most of it. Um, I will say, as far as partner competitions go, that's 2 for 2. Me and Cole took one in 2022. Isaac and I take another one in 2024. First place in both of them. So, we're putting together a little resume where I don't want to fuck that up. I want to keep going. Is there anything else I want to talk about today? Glad we could recap that. Glad I got first, so I didn't have to come back here and be fucking embarrassed. Um, what a day I've got ahead of me. This is the first of 4 podcasts, and we're gonna just keep on ripping. So, thank you guys for joining me. Again, we're so back 35 minutes on the Snap podcast. Tyler Kluver on the social medias. If you have any training or fitness or nutrition questions slash aspirations, let me be your one-on-one coach. We can get you there. TylerKluver.com, TKG training. You can sign up for that. That's every single day of the week. You're going to have some type of fitness or activity or movement to do for pennies on the dollar each month. And remember, your excuses are not valid. You have to find a way to get it done. No one's going to do it for you. Be a savage. We'll talk to you next week. See you then.